People, I'm going to tell you about an incredible series, a series called How I Met Your Mother. For 9 seasons, How I Met Your Mother gave us a fresh new take on sitcoms and the romantic comedy, as a man named Ted sits down with his kids and tells them a very, very long story about his younger days as a hopeless romantic, looking for love and living his best life with his closest friends by his side. With its unique storytelling structure and its endless gags and callbacks, the show endeared itself to millions of people and would eventually inspire a sequel series called How I Met Your Father, which premiered on Hulu this month. So I thought there's no better time to look back at the show that started it all and relive the best moments that made this series nothing short of legend.
Wait for it. And I hope you're not lactose intolerant because the second half of that word is dairy.
These are the 10 best episodes of How I Met Your Mother. Be forewarned, plenty of spoilers are ahead. Number 10, The Naked Man. Though the series was revered for its long-term storytelling and character development, the sitcom was always at its funniest in standalone episodes when the gang found themselves in rather bizarre situations. In the case of this season 4 classic, Ted walks into the apartment to find a naked stranger on his couch who says he's pulling off a last-ditch effort to hook up with Robin after a not-so-great date. As crazy as it seems, the group learns that Robin actually sleeps with him. This leads to a classic bar debate. While Marshall thinks Robin should know better, Lily decides to name 50 reasons why people might want to get down to business.
There's makeup sex, breakup sex, and your friend just told you about a new position sex.
You're welcome.
The night ends with most of the gang trying out their own variation of the Naked Man. Watching Ted and Barney come up with various poses is genuinely hilarious, and I'm pretty confident this episode inspired more than one real-life attempt.
The Naked Man works. I just had decent sex with an awful human being. I am back!
Just remember, the Naked Man only works 2 out of 3 times, a lesson that Barney had to learn the hard way. Number 9, How I Met Everyone Else. The entire premise of the series is future Ted telling stories to his kids, but some of the best episodes featured the group sitting at McLaren's and telling stories of their own, and this season 3 episode is one of the best of them. Ted brings his new girlfriend to meet his friends, and knowing that she's embarrassed by the fact they met online, he encourages everyone to tell the stories of how they all met each other. The stories are either downright adorable, like Lily and Marshall's origin story, or, in the case of Barney meeting Marshall, gleefully embarrassing.
Poor guy's gonna crash and burn. That man is a god.
Of course, in true sitcom fashion, things get worse when long-lost secrets come to light and craziness ensues. And yes, I'm talking about Blah Blah. This was the point of the series where the writers started to take advantage of the unreliable narrator concept, and this episode featured the show's first reference to its famous sandwiches, one of its best recurring visual gags.
Where's my wife?
Number 8, Symphony of Illumination. How I Met Your Mother's popularity wasn't just because of its comedy. The show was immensely heartfelt, and over the years, the audience grew to care for the characters. In the latter half of the series, the writers began to lean more heavily into dramatic elements, and season 7 dealt one of the biggest blows to Robin's life. The episode starts with Robin informing Barney that their one-night stand might have led to an unexpected pregnancy. And if that wasn't jarring enough, the show does away with the usual image of future Ted talking to his kids and instead features Robin talking to her future children. The couple quickly see a doctor who tells them that Robin isn't pregnant. However, the celebration is cut short when at a later appointment, Robin receives some additional news. She can never have children. While learning how to deal with this, she decides to keep the truth from her friends.
I just found out I can never be a pole vaulter for the Canadian Olympic team. I'm too tall or something.
And even though she never planned on being a mother, she struggles coming to terms with the reality of her situation, especially while helping a pregnant Lily shop at a baby store. Cobie Smulders gives an incredible performance throughout the episode, and by the time the image of her future children fades from existence, all we want to do is comfort Robin. Fortunately, we have Ted Mosby there to do it for us. Number 7, The Time Travelers. Late in the 8th season, much had changed in the group's daily lives, with Lily and Marshall raising a baby and Barney and Robin racing toward their wedding day. Still, the show found some time for some classic bar hijinks, with a twist. In a humorous side story, Marshall creates his own drink, but the bar ends up naming it after Robin. The two get into a heated debate, which escalates into pranks, resulting in Marshall getting trapped in the women's restroom. But the main story centered on Ted and Barney, as they debated whether or not to spend the night watching robots versus wrestlers. During the discussion, various future versions of themselves join in, giving their own pros and cons, and singing a little Billy Joel while they're at it. It's a bit of a head trip to watch until the episode reveals its sad twist. Ted is actually imagining the whole thing because his friends were too busy to go out.
Look around, Ted. You're all alone.
It's a heartbreaking scene, but it was comforting for viewers to know that Ted's happy days were right around the corner. And the future Ted knew it too, so he spent the last few minutes imagining a different ending, leading to one of the most memorable scenes in the history of the show.
And exactly 45 days from now, you and I are gonna meet. And we're gonna fall in love. And we're gonna get married, and we're gonna have 2 kids.
For both Ted and the audience, those 45 days couldn't come soon enough. Number 6, Slapsgiving.
I've invented a new holiday, Slapsgiving. It's the one day we set aside each year to gather together and give slaps.
One of the best elements of the series was all of its recurring gags. Callbacks to previous jokes made each episode fun to watch, and perhaps none were greater than Marshall earning the right to slap Barney up to 5 times at any time he wanted. While his first 2 slaps came from nowhere, for his 3rd slap, Marshall decided to take on a different approach, and thus Slapsgiving was born. A special holiday bursting at the seams with laugh-out-loud, slap-related puns designed to torture Barney beyond sanity.
They're turkeys, but they're also hands. Because later we're gonna eat turkey, and then I'm gonna slap you in your face.
The jokes are so funny, Marshall can almost be forgiven for not helping Lily prepare for a busy Thanksgiving dinner, a fact that almost cost him his slapping privilege. Fortunately, Lily came around, and not only was there glorious table-breaking slapping, but viewers were treated to a special song commemorating the occasion. It was everything a fan could ever want in a slap. The episode even found time to warm our hearts. As recent exes Ted and Robin were struggling to coexist and on the verge of breaking up their own friendship, they found themselves saved by their own recurring gag.
Major Buzzkill.
Oh, no.
I thought we were done with that.
Years later, I can safely tell you I'm still not done with that salute. Number 5, The Playbook. Looking back on the series in 2022, it's not hard to admit that some jokes and elements of the series were problematic. The womanizing character of Barney could have been completely reviled in the hands of any other actor. However, the reason Barney was loved by so many viewers was his portrayer, Neil Patrick Harris. A TV and stage veteran, Harris imbued Barney with both humor and heart, turning him into a breakout character and racking up 4 Emmy nominations along the way. Harris is a master of comedy, and The Playbook is his ultimate showcase. Pun intended. After Barney and Robin decide to end their relationship, Barney reverts to being a pickup artist and reveals the playbook to his friends.
The playbook contains every scam, con, hustle, hoodwink, gambit, flim-flam, stratagem, and bamboozle I've ever used or ever hope to use to pick up chicks and give them the business.
What follows is a series of outlandish setups featuring Barney in hilarious outfits and running the most ridiculous plays.
Really? A genie comes out of it?
Only if you rub it hard enough.
Any reasonable person would think there's no way that any of these tricks would work, but that's the magic of Barney Stinson. His charm gives you just enough reason to think that maybe they would. In fact, the entire episode features Barney sitting in a scuba suit while the gang convinces a woman why she shouldn't go out with him. Turns out, the entire episode was one big play, and it actually worked. Barney is indeed the ultimate magician. Number 4, Girls vs. Suits. For the show's 100th episode, creators Carter Bays and Craig Thomas decided they wanted to do something truly special for the show, and they delivered on two fronts. In one story, McLaren's is busier than ever thanks to the hiring of a hot female bartender. Naturally, Barney intends to hook up with her, but thanks to some bad memories from her dating past, she's repelled by the idea of a man wearing a suit. So Barney decides to go the casual route, though not without some difficulty. He's almost able to seal the deal until the bartender discovers his deception, and she gives him an ultimatum.
You have to choose right now, me or the suits.
What comes next can only be described as legendary. Bays and Thomas, who are musicians in their own right, create a show-stopping dream sequence musical number worthy of Broadway, where Barney expresses his deep affection for his collection of suits. Complete with choreographed dancers, the song is both hilarious and incredibly catchy. In the other major story of this episode, Bays and Thomas reward longtime viewers by bringing Ted closer than ever before to the mother.
I didn't know it, but I was about to hear the very first description of the woman I'd one day marry.
She's a whore.
Never mind that Ted doesn't actually meet her, but instead dates her roommate, Cindy. Still, from robot paintings to singing breakfast foods, fans are treated to the very first images, almost literally, of the kind of woman Ted eventually marries. Number 3. How Your Mother Met Me. How I Met Your Mother's final season was the only one to feature Kristen Milioti as a full-fledged cast member, playing Tracy McConnell, the once and future Mrs. Ted Mosby. Tracy was featured sporadically throughout Barney and Robin's wedding weekend, gradually encountering all of Ted's friends while also being shown in brief glimpses of the future. From awkward first dates to lighthouse engagements, viewers slowly began to fall for Tracy.
One tasty English muffin, baby, that is what I am.
In this episode, the show takes us back and shows us what was happening with Tracy in the past 8 years since the show began. The day that Ted met Robin was Tracy's 21st birthday, but it was also a day that would change her life forever, as she found out that her longtime boyfriend Max had suddenly died. This shocking loss makes Tracy reclusive, and despite encouragement from her friends, she spends several years without the desire to fall in love again.
It's like the first lottery ticket I ever bought was kaboom, jackpot, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to win again. Not like that anyway, so I don't generally buy lottery tickets anymore.
Even when she starts dating Lewis, her heart really isn't in it. Milioti shows incredible vulnerability in her performance. This is the episode where Tracy fully comes to life. After a heart-wrenching talk with the late Max, Tracy breaks up with Lewis and finally resolves to find true love again, comforting herself with a stunning patio performance of La Vie en Rose. I'll be completely honest, the ending of this episode still brings tears to my eyes.
Kids, I must have heard your mom's rendition of La Vie en Rose 1,000,000 times over the years. Every night when she tucked you in, for instance. But that performance, that first night I ever heard her sing, that one will always be my favorite.
Number 2, The Pineapple Incident. The official synopsis for this episode reads as follows. Ted gets drunk. It's the perfect description for this Season 1 classic. With Ted still hung up on Robin, the gang challenges him to turn off his brain and have a fun night by drinking 5 of Carl's specialty shots, causing Ted to get blackout drunk and lose all memories of the evening. The next thing he knows, Ted wakes up in the morning to a pineapple on his nightstand and a mysterious woman in his bed. Ted then spends the rest of the episode talking to the gang and recapping the previous night piece by piece. From sprained ankles to bad karaoke to almost being caught on fire, it's a fantastic story to follow, especially when every new part just opens up another mystery, including the possibility that Ted's drunken exploits may have landed him with Robin after all.
See what happens when you don't think? You do. More importantly, you do Robin. Come on.
All right over here.
Of course, it's not Robin that Ted ends up sleeping with, but mystery woman Trudy, who fills in the gang on the rest of the night before climbing down the fire escape and disappearing into the New York scene. From top to bottom, this is a near perfect episode.
Damn it, Trudy, what about the pineapple? Sorry.
Sorry, Marshall, but as future Ted said, that's one mystery that was never solved. And no, deleted scenes don't count. And number 1, Slap Bet. In a series filled with incredible episodes, this season 2 gem is the cream of the crop, being responsible for not just one, but 2 of the best recurring gags of the entire show. As Ted and Robin's relationship begins to flourish, the two begin to learn deeper facts about each other's lives. However, when the group decides to go shopping at the mall, Robin resists and declares her hatred of malls, without telling the gang why, leading Marshall and Barney to try and figure out what Robin is hiding.
Guys, there's no way Robin is married. It's ludicrous to even suggest it.
Thank you, Barney.
Because it's porn.
I need another beer.
For their guesses, the two men put on the ultimate wager, a slap bet, where the winner would get to slap the other person in the face as hard as he could. It sounds pretty harsh, but watching Marshall and Barney slap each other throughout the episode never gets old. Of course, by the end, the truth comes to light.
I know your secret, Robin. Or should I say, Robin Sparkles?
Robin was a teenage Canadian pop star. Her one minor hit, Let's Go to the Mall, had her touring extensively in malls across Canada. The gang couldn't take their eyes off of the music video, and neither could we. The song is super infectious, and the sight of Robin rapping is forever imprinted in my mind. Robin Sparkles would go on to make 3 more musical appearances throughout the years, all funny in their own right, but nothing beats the original. As for the consequences of the slap bet for Barney, its ramifications would be felt all the way to the end of the series. For these reasons, Slap Bet stands alone as the best episode of How I Met Your Mother. So which episodes made your top 10 list? Let's talk about them in the comments below. And for more of these opinions, go to Pierre707.com.